Hi guys and dolls, welcome to an episode of Tea and Tarot. I know I had a little break, but I am back now, back with a vengeance, and I've got a really killer, juicy, super exciting topic today. I sat down and thought, what would I really like to examine the cards for messages about? Like, what would really switch me on and plug me in right now at this moment? And I thought to myself, you know what, enhancing magic, improving your magical skills, making your magic more powerful, that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do today, and I really hope that it's helpful for the many witchy people who watch. It might also be quite helpful for those of you who work with manifestation. I know there's some discussion about what the differences are between manifestation and magic. Are they the same thing ultimately, etc, etc. But really it's just about taking a look at the different ways in which you change energy, or you kind of instigate change in accordance with your will, in accordance with the thoughts in your mind, and how to make that practice more consistent, more powerful, more effective, you know, maybe faster, more kind of punchy, more impactful, that kind of stuff. So it could work for you guys equally too. I'm just going to get really low down and dirty and honest with you right now. I'm not drinking tea. This whole thing is a sham. There's no tea in this cup. It's coffee. Don't know why. The last couple of days I've gone on a little bit of a coffee rampage. So yeah, so that's what's happening today. Coffee and tarot is occurring today. I've lied to you all. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be using the World Unknown Tarot today. I know so many of you love it. I love it too. So let's get started. My first choice is the Hierophant, and I chose the Hierophant to reflect the importance of discipline and record keeping in your practice. And I suppose consistency could go into this too. And also I suppose under this umbrella too, you could put things like research and fact checking and stuff like that. So I suppose it encompasses really the energy of being a good student and the energy of showing up time after time with your magical workings, kind of tweaking things that aren't quite working, playing with ideas, but keeping it really dedicated, keeping it committed. So record keeping for me is one of the key things about magic that actually makes it pop and makes it into a reality in my life. It makes me able to tangibly see the results of what I've done and tweak things if necessary and actually perfect things over time. The other thing about magic is that in order to know if it's working, in order to know if you're improving, and in order to actually put new things into the mix and strengthen your skill set, you need to be doing it. And that's one thing about the Hierophant that I would say is quite often it's about knuckling down, it's about doing it. There's a lot of stuff associated with the Hierophant which is really to do with structure and hierarchy and secret societies and kind of oath-bound secret stuff. But I think also with the Hierophant there's just this sense of knuckling down, getting on with it, being dedicated, showing up for the practice every day, and actually just learning how to be disciplined with yourself, how not to procrastinate, how not to put things off, and how to just be serious about your craft. And I think witchcraft, like any other craft you could master, does require that kind of attitude, and it does require that sense of showing up and keeping on and keeping on. Even when things aren't going your way, even when some of the research that you're doing is kind of clashing with other information that you've received, or even when it's hard to fit time to work magic or do ritual into your schedule, that kind of thing. So it's really just about being dedicated and owning the fact that you want to get better at it and you want to hone your craft and go to that next level all the time. I think it's important to figure out what discipline is for you, what commitment is for you, what it looks like in your world, and how much of it you actually need. There are certain different schools of thought, and I would say they all pretty much have their place. There are some people who feel that you shouldn't be doing magic for every little thing, you should only be doing magical workings when you really need it. Other people feel that you should only do magical workings in alignment with certain moon phases or with certain correspondences which actually link up with the style of magic that you're doing. For example, banishing magic you could do on the waning moon, abundance magic you would do on the full moon if you want to follow the lunar cycle, but there are many different kinds of correspondences and associations which also work. There are some people who feel that magic should be fun and experimental, adventurous, and it should be done often, and it should be done with a view to actually seeing results and actually finding out what works. I would say I'm more in that latter camp. So there are different ways of approaching magic as a set of systems, and there are different ways of appreciating and viewing how often magic should be used, why magic should be used, certain times you should do magic, etc. So I really think that this kind of advice that comes from the Hierophant needs to be in alignment with your particular flavour. But I think just figuring out what discipline is for you, what commitment is for you, that can be helpful and important in anyone's practice. The second card I've chosen is the Son of Pentacles. I could have chosen really any of the Court cards from the Suit of Pentacles, or in fact the Ace of Pentacles, to make the point that I want to make, but I think the Son of Pentacles is just so damn beautiful that I thought he's got to have a little role, I think, in this coffee and tarot episode. So I chose the Son of Pentacles because I quite often say that doing a spell is a little bit like having a power salad or a green smoothie before you go for a run or do your workout. So what it is for me is that I'm not actually skipping the workout. I have to do that physical stuff. I have to get down with that tangible stuff which involves my body and my mind in tandem, and I have to, you know, blood, sweat and tears and all that. I can't bypass that in order to get fit and get toned and feel good. I have to do it. What casting a spell does is kind of like what having a green smoothie does before you have your workout. It's that prep, it's giving it that extra push, it's switching the energies up in your favour, you know, it's giving you that kind of extra boost. And it's actually setting the foundations, setting the dial, turning everything that you can turn in the direction of what you want. That's what a spell is. So my point with the Son of Pentacles is that you can't skip out on the physical stuff, you can't skip out on the tangible stuff. I think quite a popular example of this is if you do a spell to find the job of your dreams, it doesn't mean that you stop handing out CVs. You have to literally, you know, be in search for the job of your dreams. You know, the results of the spell have to find you working. They have to find you open. You have to have already created that doorway. You have to have cleansed the way between yourself and what you wish to manifest. And you do that through doing things in the earthly realm, doing things on the physical. So I think my point really with this card is don't stop doing what you were already doing, and don't fail to be accountable for what you can do in the physical. And, you know, Peter J. Carroll made some interesting points about that during his time of writing books and giving interviews about this stuff. In the main, he would often say, and I've listened to several interviews on YouTube where he would say, you know, too many people are skipping out on the physical stuff. Too many people are doing a spell instead of the physical stuff, the tangible stuff, the obvious stuff, the practical stuff. And that's not how it works. The two things have to be hand in hand. They have to be in tandem. Actually, your spell's much more likely to work if you're doing what's necessary on the physical to actually align yourself with the energy that you've manifested on the astral, if you like, or in the ethereal, however you choose to put it, however you choose to see it, right? I know there are different magical models, and I've discussed that in a former video myself, but I do think that, you know, there's a great saying, inspiration has to find you working. I think manifestation has to find you working too. If you put something out into the universe, then you know, when it comes back to you, it needs to be able to marry with you harmoniously. It needs to be able to match up with the steps that you are already dancing. Father of Wands and the Devil, one of my classic combinations. I know I just can't stop doing them. I just love them, love them, love them. I chose the Devil because I often feel that one of the really positive, high vibration aspects of the Devil is the sense of being a maverick, the sense of going your own way, trailing your own path, you know, blazing a path for yourself, carving something out that wasn't there before, allowing yourself to be a great experimenter, a great inventor, and just basically being your own person, marching to the beat of your own drum. Of course, that's what Lucifer himself did, right? And that's how he ended up inventing his own kingdom. So there is that maverick vibe to it, and I think that's one of the really high vibe parts of the Devil for me. I think that in my own magical practice, valuing my own opinion and going where I kind of was intuitively drawn to go, kind of lifting up stones, turning things over, having a look at what's underneath, having a look at what's actually beneath the research, beneath what's written in books, and kind of feeling it and sniffing it out and becoming primal with it, feral with it, animal with it, you know, really being with it like that, and not following the books, knowing that what was in my heart and what was in my own intuition and what flowed from me was obviously what was correct because it was me doing the magical working. That's where stuff got really juicy, and I would impart that advice to you. I think the Father of Wands for me as a magical practitioner is really just this message of owning it, you know, owning the word, owning what the word means, and by word I mean words like witch, words like magic, words like spell, that kind of thing. Own those words, live those words, don't be afraid of those words, align yourself with those words and show up to actually embody what those words mean to you when you are in the circle, when you are performing a rite or a spell. Together, I think these two cards make a statement about the importance of valuing your own experience and using your experiences to inform what you're doing and to actually place the power back into your hands. I think there's a danger of becoming an armchair occultist. There's a danger of becoming somebody who talks a lot about magic but doesn't do it. There's a danger of being somebody who doesn't want to go against what it says in a book. There's a danger of being somebody who doesn't actually feel empowered themselves to create a system that works for them, or even to have an opinion about magic based on the experiences that they've had themselves. And I think it's so important to do that. I think it's so important not to stand on the sidelines in your own magical life, but actually to harness it, own it, you know, feel empowered within it. Mother of Swords, I wanted to use this card to convey the importance of training your brain, you know, using your life. Really tighten up that muscle, discover how much there is to your mind, unlock different doorways, go in through the back and see what's downstairs, you know, journey into your mind and do experiments, you know, do little things, try to kind of change certain variables, try to witness things and see if witnessing makes them other to what they would have been had you not witnessed them. You know, go to the books, learn about quantum theory, do all that kind of stuff, learn about different systems, traditions, etc. But also just experiment with what you can do with your mind on a daily basis and actually tighten up your relationship with your mind. Realise, for example, that you are not your emotions. Realise, for example, that your emotional responses are a choice, your reactions are a choice. Realise, for example, that when you set your vibration at a certain level using your cognitive function, you can actually alter the vibrations of other people in the room. That's magic. That's magic with a K. So all the time you can be expanding your sense of what's possible and really training your brain, tightening up your mind, realising that your brain, your consciousness, your sense of who you are in this world, what you are, your sense of being human, your sense of everything that encompasses, and your sense of everything we don't yet know about what that encompasses. That's your tool. That's your tool as a witch. That's what you're doing when you practice the craft. That's what you're using when you practice the craft. So show up and be with that knowledge every single day. And I think the Mother of Swords is always such a really good representation for me of using the mind, respecting what the mind is capable of and being one with the majesty of the mind and everything that it represents. I chose to include the world. The world has always been one of my favourite tarot cards, and particularly in this deck it's just so beautiful, right? I chose the world because I want to urge magical practitioners to participate in the world that they're a part of, to have both feet in the world and to learn what you can about the world through the base chakra issues, through things like survival and shelter and food and money and interactions with people and work, the working world, the working environment, what's that all about? Socioeconomics, what's going on in the news. I mean, the possibilities are completely endless. Learn about who you are in community, learn about who you are in your environment, in your neighbourhood, in your social setting, learn about who you are in your family dynamic, learn about who other people are, learn about how you feel about different cultures, and learn that culture itself is just a set of spectacles that you had put over your eyeballs when you were really young. And actually you can take those spectacles off and you can actually experiment with other, you know, sets of spectacles, other cultures. You know, this is what we mean by ego magic and ego deconstruction, which is something that I will go into this year because I'm planning to teach a lot more on that subject. So really what I'm urging you to do is to step into the world, have both feet in the world. I think there's always a danger when we are really interested in things like magic and in the occult and in various different things of that nature, that we can drop out of consensus reality, or we can convince ourselves that it's actually less important than the other stuff, you know. We go very much into the higher chakra concerns and the base chakra kind of withers and atrophies. And I would say for myself, for my own part, that when I realised that actually the concerns of all of the chakras, the themes, if you like, of all of the chakras, including the base chakra, need to kind of be considered and aligned and harmonious before I could be the best witch that I could be. That was one of the key lessons for me. That was an incredible lesson. And now I do live with both feet in the world. And I don't fear consensus reality as much. And I do think there's that danger of like people being kind of I don't know, like grand, high priestess or priest kind of wizardy. I've got these, you know, crazy degrees from the dark side of the flip side of the underworld, and you know, I know how to contact Pazuzu and have a cup of tea with him, but I don't want to move out of my mother's basement and start paying rent. You know, like, consensus reality is nothing to be afraid of. Magic actually aids your relationship with consensus reality, and your relationship with consensus reality actually really fucking aids your magic. So it's a two-way street, and that's something that I would say. And I really think the world just conveys that, you know, have both feet in, be in it to win it, experience all of it, not just that higher chakra stuff, not just that ethereal stuff, that otherworldly stuff, but also the grit, the dirt, the bones, the blood, you know, the mud, the stones, the majesty of what it is to be here in this world, and everything that that represents, the good, the bad and the ugly. Even the boring stuff has something to teach you, right? So I would say maybe the world is just my way of saying consensus reality is your friend. And as a witch, you know, it's really important to get on board with that, I think. Coffee break. Finally, I chose the Eight of Pentacles because I really wanted to just mention the importance of tinkering with things, you know, tweaking things, experimenting. Keep going with stuff, keep adding to stuff, subtracting. I've talked before in interviews and in former videos about the importance of seeing your role as a witch as rather like being your role as some kind of chef, you know. Get that recipe book, get it messy, get it working for you, harmonise with it, bond with it, you know, really write your notes down, keep your records, tinker with the systems, be an experimenter, a scientist, an inventor, and really get to know what works and build on your craft. Your craft is something that you build on bit by bit by bit, and you kind of put it together like Tetris, you know, it's like cosmic Tetris. And so I really wanted to just end by saying, you know, be the perpetual student and keep building on what you know all the time. And I think the really appropriate thing about the Eight of Pentacles in the World Unknown Tarot is that there's actually that spider's web, which is such a perfect metaphor, isn't it, for what we're doing with our sense of who we are as magical beings, and for what we're doing with our sense of what's possible. And each time we kind of conquer something, work something out, align ourselves with the understanding of something we were trying to get to, then it's time for that next piece of thread, it's time for that next thing that we can kind of hook on to the thing that we've just made, you know, and the web does form, you know, it never ends, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So these are my thoughts about kind of improving your magical craft and being the highest version of your magical self, and I hope that this has been useful for you guys. The shop is now back open, the options are very, very much scaled down. You can order a full-length custom reading now via email or via Skype live with me, talking to me, and in real time, and I will customise a spread to your specifications. So yeah, head on over to the shop, check that out, and very much love until next time, guys. Blessed be.